Somewhere in the unknown of where to go, I choose to go within. In the competition of becoming something, I choose to be me. On that note, we would like to celebrate the spirit of loving oneself and being true to oneself. So today we have with us Katelyn O'Leary from Los Angeles. We are so glad to have you with us today. Welcome to StreeMing, Katelyn.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Kathleen, to our show. StreeMing show is for every woman out there to feel their inner light and spread it around the world. We connect women from different fields around the world with the aim of spreading happiness and inspire other women around. So Kathleen have many feathers on her head. She is graduated from entertainment industry from Carnegie Mellon University. She is mental health advocate working towards disability, invisible mental illness. She is also artist, screenwriter, model, and helping other writers to pitch their stories and with their script. Welcome to our show. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is an amazing opportunity, and this is a great show.
So, Katie, we would like to start with, we would want to know about your journey of being a student of entertainment industry, then being a mental health advocate, and also a writer and a model. So, could you please tell us about your journey?
Yeah, so I went to Carnegie Mellon. I found out about the program just by Googling entertainment degree because I wanted to move out to Los Angeles, but I didn't want to just move out there arbitrarily. I really wanted to gain experience and get an education. And Carnegie Mellon had the perfect program, which was entertainment industry management. And it's a 2-year program. The first year is in Pittsburgh and the second year is in Los Angeles. And so the first year you study on campus and you learn things like marketing and producing and all types of things related to entertainment. And then year 2, you go out to LA and you intern with different companies. And for me, I wanted to learn everything I could about film and television. And the program teaches you all of the skill sets that you would need for film and TV from the business side of things. So I interned with companies like William Morris Endeavor, which is a talent agency, CBS Films, Illumination Entertainment, which is a animation company, and several others. And we also went to film festivals like Sundance and South by Southwest. And then I was very fortunate to win an essay contest and go to the Cannes Film Festival in 2013. And it, I've had so many amazing opportunities, since I've moved to Los Angeles. I became a writer after I had I tore the cartilage in my hip. After years of playing rugby. I was a rugby player in college, which most people are surprised because I am 6 feet tall, and most people think that I played basketball, and I was actually terrible at basketball. But for some reason, I was good at rugby, which makes no sense, honestly. But yeah, so I was a rugby player, and I tore the cartilage in my hip, and I had surgery. And it unfortunately triggered this rare nerve disorder. And I'll go into that in a bit. But so because of that, I was working from home a lot from my job at a production company where I was the office manager. And so I started looking into the possibility of, maybe trying my hand at acting and modeling. And it was something that, like, people used to joke around with me about, like, especially in college, people would say like, oh, you should try out for America's Next Top Model, or, because I'm tall and like, and it's always like the height thing, because like you're so tall and you're slender. And so I just thought, I maybe should just try it. I don't know. And I recently just got back from Seattle, where I shot a commercial. And then I also just completed a photo shoot for this really cool project where it's the same technology they use for Marvel, like where they take these cameras and they scan like all over you, and it was really cool. But it's for like this project that they're doing, like where they're just kind of collecting like all these different models and all these angles and stuff. And yeah, I've just been having a blast, like kind of getting into this, and just working with different photographers and kind of stepping into it, and it's just been really fun and great so far. So I'm hoping that I can continue doing this, and the commercial is coming out I think probably in January, and yeah, it's been a wonderful experience. And then in terms of being a writer, I started writing professionally for a column called the National Pain Report in 2016, and I would write articles relating to mental health, invisible illnesses, everything from big pharma to personal hygiene, to taking care of yourself in the hospital, to like traveling while sick. I mean, I covered a wide range of topics. And yeah, and then from there, everything really applied to my own personal experience dealing with my own illness, my own invisible illness, and then my own ways of coping as a mental health advocate for many people. And it's and because I have my own invisible disability, becoming an advocate for that particular disability really pushed me into action to try and help others, and especially up here in here and physically as well. And I can definitely go into that more, but I hope that answers that question succinctly.
Yeah, it's very rare combination, like you do modeling, you do marketing, you do writing, and you are also into the mental illness. And you are also mentioning about your own illness, and then you started advocating regarding the same illness. So can you throw a bit of light about it, like what illness you were suffering, and how you started healing other people? So maybe our audience can also, they can listen and maybe it might help them.
Yes. So like I said before, I tore the cartilage in my right hip playing rugby my senior year. And as a side note, I thank God every day that it was my senior year of college, just because if it had been earlier, I would have been devastated to have this happen. But so I tore the cartilage, and once I moved out to Los Angeles, I finally had health insurance because of my job, and I had great coverage. And technically, the surgery they did to fix it was a complete success. They did nothing wrong. But unfortunately, the surgery triggered a rare neurological disorder called complex regional pain syndrome, called CRPS. It also has another name, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, or reflexive. It sometimes goes by both, or RSD. So the acronyms are CRPS or RSD. And this disorder can occur either through surgeries, accidents, or injuries. And it's prominently it prominently occurs with women. It very rarely, and not what I say rarely, happens with men, just because it predominantly affects women. And essentially what happens is that your sympathetic nervous system believes that long after your injury or surgery, your body believes that you are catastrophically injured in that area, that even though it's healed, your body is confused. And so it's sending pain signals to that area saying that, you're injured, you need to fix this, but it's already fixed. So how do you fix that? It's, and like the way that the metaphor that I use to kind of explain that is, think of like your television and all of the wires behind your TV. Like you plug in your HDMI cable and you turn on your TV and everything works. You have your Netflix and it's working. But let's say you cut that wire. You know exactly what's wrong. The wire was cut. You know how to fix it. But in my case, everything's plugged in, everything looks right, but you turn on the TV and it's just snow. It's just all warbled and you just don't know why. And that's kind of the terrifying notion of neurology, is sometimes they don't have the answers and all of your nerves can look completely fine, but they're sending signals that we don't understand why those are occurring. And so unfortunately, this disorder has the distinction of having one of the most horrific nicknames, which is the suicide disease, because the pain is so terrible that patients would rather die than be in this much pain. And unfortunately, McGill University has ranked this disorder as the most painful disorder on the planet. It is more painful than amputation of a digit. It's more painful than non-terminal cancer, and it's more painful than childbirth without an epidural, which I can't imagine childbirth without an epidural. but yeah, it's so horrifically painful to the point where you just lose sight of everything in your life just becomes pain. And I was at a point in my illness where my legs swelled up 4 centimeters, where it was larger than my other leg. And it was so sensitive that I developed allodynia, which is extreme sensitivity to touch, where I couldn't be touched by anyone on my right leg. I couldn't wear pants because it was so sensitive. Even having wind hit my leg hurt. I was constantly icing my leg, and I mean, it was insanity. And and pain like that can change you. Like, it can change you from being this very positive and upbeat person to a very angry and exhausted and almost furious person, because you think, why me? And and then the biggest toll it can have is on your family and your friends, because with it being an invisible illness, people look at you, the people closest to you can look at you and just say, why can't you just get over this? Why can't you move forward? Why can't you just this? Because it's not like cancer. It's not like other illnesses where you can just progress and change, because there is no cure. There are very few treatments available. And, and many people, especially adults, suffer, their marriages suffer, especially, and even when you throw kids in the mix, it's even worse. Like, you have a mother who has this disorder, who can barely get out of bed and has children to take care of. She has a job, or a father has this and he has a job. I mean, it's so terrible. And with me, I have been blessed beyond belief that with that I have been able to progress. And while I still have pain, I have been able to slowly be able to get back into my life, where I am, I'm able to drive again, like not for hours at a time, but like, I'm able, to drive around Los Angeles, which, is a feat all on its own. And on top of which, I don't have like the hypersensitivity that I used to. And, I'm slowly, literally kind of getting back onto my feet. And, and it's just, it's incredible. And it really makes you so incredibly grateful for for the little things in your life. Because like when you remember the pain, it's just amazing, like just seeing where I've come from. And when people ask me to describe what it feels like, it's just like kind of like, imagine like that your affected limb is on fire and wrapped in barbed wire, and it just never ends, and and the barbed wire is just tightening and tightening, and the fire is just never ending. And and it's just but the scariest thing for me is the fact that it's starting to affect children, and that is just heart-wrenching. And so with this disorder, it's definitely a three-pronged approach. It's not just physical, it's also mental, and it's emotional, and it's something where you absolutely need mental health resources, and you have to have a community behind you, and to deal with the emotions of it, and you have to have great health care. So that's kind of the story behind that.
So really salute to your inner strength, and it's such a inspiration behind, like, I'm so happy to see you, and it's so necessary to speak out and let other people also know it's perfectly normal if you feel pain and if you are suffering from such disorders, and people don't know about it. So it's good to hear from you. And so keep inspiring, and I'm literally feeling so good to a person who can tell by herself, and you're doing still a lot of things beside having all this. I'm sure a lot of your friends might be not knowing about it, or with whom you are working or shooting. You just told, right? You just did one shoot, and you bared it all alone.
It's funny because like on December 14th, my boyfriend and I were on a game show. Like, it's gonna air on YouTube on December 14th. It's called 25 Words or Less. And it's gonna be pretty, it'll be fun for everyone to see.
We will, for sure. We will see it and we'll watch. I'm waiting for your ad also to let it get aired. So it's so true. Like, if we believe something, like we want to get out of it, we can. It do take time, but if we believe in ourselves, and your case, you believed in yourself that you want to get out, and so you did. So that's a great message for everyone.
So maybe, like, you went through a physical pain, so going through that itself is not easy, and then on top of that, it affected you mentally and emotionally, and you had to deal with all of that. So but I can, we can only imagine what you went through. We can't really feel that pain, but and you went through all of that, and not just that, you turned your pain into your power, and now you're helping other people do the same. But like you said, it changes you. This entire process changes you and people around you. So I want to know, Katie, that people might have had shown some kind of ignorance towards your pain. Like you said that they were telling you to just get over this. They were not really understanding what you were going through. So what do you think, that our society, it has a very limited view towards mental health. So how our society should change that view, and how are you working towards making it happen?
So that's such a great question. And with mental health, and just like with this illness, mental health is so stigmatized, and all over the world, and so much in the United States as well. And and mental health is it's separate from medical healthcare, just like dental is with health insurance. When they're bones in your mouth, just like bones in your body, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like mental health is just as important as your medical health, and it affects both. Like studies have shown that stress is the #1 cause of the majority of like I think of like the majority of physical illnesses in our body. Like it leads to heart attacks, it leads to so many different things, and stress is caused by mental health and so many other factors, and people aren't addressing it because people like we're not taking mental health seriously and in our country or in the world. And the stigma being that if you pursue mental health, or if you try to take care of your mental health, that you're seen as somebody who is weak, or that you are pathetic, or all kinds of things. And there's also too, because like going back to this disorder, and that's horrible nickname as the suicide disease, it's always the thing that infuriates me about this particular issue is that when we always say when this happens, and it's so horrendous, but like when people are taken from this disease, because we never say people commit suicide, we say when they're taken from this disorder. We talk about how this disease took their life. They didn't decide to commit suicide, because too often people too often people take suicide and make it as if it was a choice, as if like that they could have decided not to. And for so many people, they are in such a state of anguish, that in such a state of mental and emotional hurting, that for them, they're boxed in. They have absolutely no way out. They're in a complete dungeon of unhappiness and loneliness. And the only key available would be for somebody to open the door and to tell them, I am here for you. I will show you the way out. And for so many people, they don't have the resources, they don't have the help, they don't have the community, and they don't have the family available to do that for them. And that's why you see so many people on the street, like especially, in Los Angeles, but every country in the world, like the majority of the homeless, you see, like they need mental health resources. But in terms of just going back with me and going back with how I advocate for mental health in this community and in my own life, and with this, I've tried so much to create a safe space in different organizations, but also in different Facebook groups, to create different we've been making different lists of doctors available to in different states for patients with CRPS in Facebook groups, because it's such a rare disorder that many people don't have access to treatment, and they ask a lot of questions of, hey, do you know a doctor here? Do you know a doctor there? But beyond that, of just giving simple information, it's all about the support that we give each other when knowing that a patient doesn't have friends or family to back them up. And that's just a simple, leaning on a friend or leaning on someone else. But I think overall, mental health in general, and in concerning like our country and just with me and everyone else, it's just construed as, if you need this, you're going to go at it alone. And a perfect example of this is I myself knew in 2016 that I needed extra help. I knew that I was going down a bad road, and I had been diagnosed in 2015. I was not doing well, and I wanted to check myself into into like a mental health center and get help. And when I was looking for a place to do that in Los Angeles, I found that my only options were drug rehabilitation centers. And I was shocked, like there was nothing else available. And of course, like, in the 1970s, they started closing down so many mental health facilities because of the great purge of mental hospitals. But it's alarming when you think about it. Like, there are so many people that need help in these areas, and we have no access to mental health centers if we need them. I mean, if you have a patient that's threatening to commit suicide, they just go to the ER and they stay there for 2 days and then they're let go. I mean, they're not really given treatment. And patients now, that I talk to online, I mean, I'll talk to somebody for hours on Facebook Messenger, just and be a voice to listen to encourage, to talk to. And and I hope to God every time that it's enough, but it breaks my soul to know that mental health resources are something that are not readily available in smaller states in the US, and they have to fight tooth and nail just to be heard by a therapist that's going to cost them several $100s out of pocket. And most people go without. And it's as necessary to your body as breathing is your mind, and making sure that your mind is healthy. And and with this disorder, I mean, it completely screws with your mind. And so, yeah, it's absolutely detrimental to this country and to anyone with like a disorder like this, not to have the resources that we should be having.
Yeah, so whatever you told, it's really heartbreaking and so true. It's a reality of every country, and we need to address it, and you are doing it by your own way. And we would really like to help you, Kathy, in any way we can, because we also do our happiness workshop. We try to heal through, theater and energy. So anytime, please feel free to connect with us. We would love to do it yeah. So, and we had done it before also. So please feel free. And anyone who is listening and want to help Kathy, please connect to her. It would be really good to help out. And as you are also into writing and helping many writers in pitching their stories, so can you give any tip to the aspiring writers to how to pitch their stories?
Yes. So if you are writing a screenplay, the best advice that I can give you is that, and if you're just starting out, I would highly recommend, one, that you download a program called Kelts. It's CELT as in Tom, X. It is a much cheaper program than Final Draft, which is the most popular program to write screenplays. And I think it's about $20 for the upgrade, for like the high grade version, but I think there's a free version that you can get. And if you can't get that version, using regular Word or any document works. Heck, you can write it down on a page, doesn't matter. But my biggest advice I can give you for starting out is just creating an outline of your characters and creating a 3 acts of your story. Act 1 of how your story begins, and then Act 2 of where your story, the meat of your story, of like the where the big stuff happens. And then act 3, of course, like, you know, how you're going to resolve your story and your big ending. And then, and then in act 1, the very end of act 1 should be your inciting incident, which is where something crazy happens to get the whole thing started. So for an example of that, let's use Jurassic Park, for example. The inciting incident in Jurassic Park in Act 1 is when the dinosaurs escape. And so now we're into Act 2 and everybody's trying to survive. So that's one tip for just getting started with your writing. And then, so once you kind of start there, I would recommend 1 page a day. If you're faster than that, good for you, that's incredible. You know, just write every single day, constantly write every day. Now, one of the most important things to note with a screenplay is that 1 page is 1 minute of screen time. So screenplay should be between 90 to 120 pages. If you go over that, it's going to be a long movie. And then when it comes to pitching your project, you want to make sure, well, one, you want to make sure that you know your project better than anything, front, back, and oh boy. But you want to be succinct and you want to have a log line. A log line is basically it's 2 to 3 sentences summarizing your script. And you will notice a log line if you go to imdb.com. A log line is it's 2 to 3 sentences that summarizes your movie. For example, a log line would be like if it was Star Wars, it would be a young pilot pairs up with a ragamuffin team of scoundrels to save the universe, you know, something like that. And so that you have that. And then if you're pitching it, you know, you want to highlight all of the great things about your story or your script that make it unique, that make it different, and make it stand out. But you also want to showcase the comps, which are comparing your script to other movies so people can relate to it more. So you can say, this movie is like a combination of this and this. And if it's a completely original story, it's a true story, then even better. Just say, this is a true story about this, this, and this. And then finally, and this is just the nature, I don't know how it works in Bollywood, so like I would never comment on that. But in Hollywood, unfortunately, when it comes to pitching, 99% of the time, you do have to have an agent or a manager to pitch or send projects, because unfortunately, I can't read projects unless like you have an agent or a or what do you call it, or a manager or a lawyer. But I'm always happy though to answer questions and provide, you know, feedback on anything, because I know how hard it is to start writing and to start your projects. And then also too, you know, when it comes to pitching, having imagery that you can think of about your stories, about your projects, which we call a pitch deck, is something that is very, very important. It kind of brings to life your screenplay, and that comes later, you know, it's after you've written everything. And yeah, and don't give up, you know, that's really number one. Don't give up on yourself. Like I've read plenty of things that, you know, that I wonder, why was this written, you know, and believe in yourself, you know, absolutely 100% believe in yourself. You can do it, you know, just, that's why it's important to write something every single day. Don't give up. You know, if this is your dream, follow your dream, like keep going, write every day. And just remember, you know, that if you're having an off day, then don't write that day. And also too, I would recommend looking at some of the master classes, and one book called what's it called? It's Save the Cat. It's a screenwriting.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really, really good, and it's very helpful. But yeah, so those are some kind of like smaller tips about that. And if you're further along than that and you want more information or more in-depth tips or things like that, I can also go further in depth too. But yeah.
Thank you for such an insightful conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, Katie, you have shared really great tips with us. So all the writers out there, just follow what she has told, and also just follow your heart. Don't forget that. And like she said, don't give up. Just keep writing, keep calm, and enjoy that process, because process is something that is more important than the end story or the result. So don't give up. Just keep writing. So, Katie, you are a writer yourself. You're not just assisting other screenwriters, but you are a writer yourself. So, what are your future projects and plans with regards to writing or TV or film? So, could you please share that as well with us?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm working on my story at the moment, and I also have something in the works that's about my hometown, which is kind of funny. It's part true, part fictional, and then yeah, I have a bunch of stuff actually that I'm in the process of trying to collaborate with other creators and then other producers, and yeah, that's the one thing about this town. You can meet so many great people and incredible creatives, and yeah, it's amazing. And I'm also hoping to collaborate with a director who's coming over in December, and hoping that we can get together and get something started, and fingers crossed. It's like movies here in LA, it's like 1 minute it's like, yep, we're ready to go, and then the next minute it's like, oh, sorry, we're not doing this.
It happened same year. It's quite the same. I have gone through that.
Yeah, that's so funny, because like yeah, and then I'm still pursuing modeling, and I have a couple of opportunities I'm pursuing there too. And I also too I do branded content where like they send me like products, and I do like little commercials and stuff, like which my first one was hard just because I have a hard time like reading lines that don't come out very naturally. So but I know the next one will be better.
Yeah, obviously. Our best wishes for that, for all your future projects. Our best wishes. So like a lot of us, we do suffer from some or the other mental challenges, and we don't even know that it's a suffering or it's an illness. So can you just throw a light, like how to know whether we need to seek help or not, or it's the time to go and ask to the doctor? Because many times we just restrict ourselves, feeling like it's okay, it's just maybe emotion, it's today emotion, and we just drag it.
Yeah, I would say that it's time to see someone when you are self-isolating to the point where you can't get out of bed, where you're not healthy in your heart, in your diet, in your lifestyle, and you have no inspiration to achieve anything beyond just kind of existing, and then on the flip side, there's people who are high functioning who are depressed and who need help. Like, and I've existed on that spectrum as well. You know, like when I was in high school, like I was a very high functioning person who worked very, very hard. And I was constantly, you know, in every extracurricular, I was doing very well, but I was so unhappy, you know, but no one around me knew, and, you know, they didn't see the signs. And so, and I didn't vocalize that either. So it's kind of like, there's so many sides of that spectrum where, you know, someone can be very visibly, you know, depressed and sad and anxious, or you know, obviously just have a complete breakdown, or they can be very put together. And you know, and it all boils down to, you know, the aspect of communication and you know, ultimately understanding oneself, but also having people in your life who are paying attention. And you know, and for me, I've had the wherewithal, luckily, to, you know, to see the signs, and be so lucky to have like mental health coverage, because it's, unfortunately, and I will never understand this, like it's, you know, it's not included in medical insurance, it's separate, and I'm very blessed to have it. And but, you know, and then, yeah, if I didn't have the wherewithal, you know, you would hope that your community, you know, would notice, or that other people would. But more and more, I'm just seeing so many young people, you know, coming out of the woodwork, who are high achieving people, who say that, you know, they've had absolute breakdowns, and you know, that they've quit their executive positions and jobs because they, you know, they were very high functioning, and then the anxiety of overachievement just broke them. And then on the flip side, you know, where just things, especially during the pandemic, just absolutely shattered their self-worth. And I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And so well, maybe I shouldn't say crazy, but I mean, it's really it's terrifying how the warning signs can be so starkly different. And it's very important to be on the lookout for those. And I think that they're so individualistic that that's why it's so important to pay attention to the people in our lives, and to always check on the people in your life. You know, I've noticed, and I've seen this trend more and more, and I think it's a wonderful thing, where it used to be that people would say, oh, you know, I never hear from them anymore. I didn't know that they weren't feeling well. I didn't know that they felt this way. And it's like, and I've seen more and more people push for, well, this is why you need to take that step and check in on them. And it's something that, like, I've been pushing my own family to do with each other, and you know, my friend group does the same. Like, we check in on each other and make sure that they're all okay, because, you know, it's a crazy world out there. And you know, with the pandemic and just in general, even before this, you know, it's Los Angeles can be very isolating, and it can be very and, you know, very busy with everyone working so hard. And then with my family spread out too, you know, it's just so important. It's so important just to check in. And, you know, and I didn't realize that myself until, you know, later in life. And so yeah, that's kind of how I take it, like, you know, through that kind of channel. But I hope that other people kind of do something similar.
So, Katie, like, you know, you said it's really terrifying and it's unfortunate that people don't have access to, you know, mental health resources and help. And more than that, people are still, you know, holding on to that thing, that they are really not open to talk about their issues, or even, you know, acknowledge that they have some issues. And also, it's said, you know, that people don't have to look sad to be sad, to feel sad. They don't have to look sad. They can be happy, they can be highly functioning, but internally they can be going through a lot of things. And and that's very unfortunate that people don't get to talk about it, or they don't want to. And I feel it's also this thing, that we are conditioned to believe that we need to hold on to things, to be strong, to go through, and to move on with life. But people don't understand that holding on to things just make it more worse. So it's better to let go, talk about it, and check in with each other, help others, you know to actually deal with it. So, and it's really hard to be happy actually, these days. And on top of that, pandemic has happened. So like, Katie, you have gone through a lot, and you have beautifully turned your pain into power. So I just want to know at the end of this conversation, that what is your happiness mantra that you would like to share with other people?
Yeah, so um it it starts out a little sad, but it really is a beautiful thing. So I had a very close friend in college. Her name was Denver, and she actually showed me around campus my freshman year. She was a year ahead of me, and we always ended up running into each other at the most random times. We once ended up at this frat party, which I do not recommend. And it was a very crazy night, and we had a blast. And then there was a spring break my junior year that somehow we ended up in the same town on spring break, and we ran into each other. It was just really funny. And but she was diagnosed with cervical cancer about 3 years ago, and she died. And it was absolutely just tragic, like gut-wrenching. But during the entire process, she never gave up. Like she never just sat in the bed and and not that I'm disparaging anyone with cancer, however they cope. I just mean with her that she was just somebody who lived life so fully, and her personal mantra was, if not now, when? And as somebody, and I was sick at the time, with my disorder, and she and I would talk via Facebook Messenger while she was sick. And for me, and for her, if not now, when, was really, even when you're sick, and even when life is hard, and even when you're in pain, life is still going to continue. Things are still going to happen, and you are always going to have roadblocks, but it doesn't mean that you can't find a way around them. Like, you might not be able to go straight through, but hey, you might be able to walk around. And it's life, it is about the journey, it is about the roadblocks, but life is beautiful. We only have a certain amount of time, but with that time, if not now, when are you going to decide to live your life? And and it honestly, like, when she started using that as her mantra, when she died, I kind of adopted that as mine to honor her. And also too, it just, I don't know, I that philosophy is stuck with me ever since. And yeah, it's, if not now, when?
That's such a beautiful message. Yeah, Maulshree, tell me.
No, I was just saying, now this is going to be stuck with all of us, that if not now, when? Life is too short not to be happy. So we have to live it fully.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so wonderful to have you with us, and we are so blessed. And I'm sure the same feeling will be of our audience who all are watching. And all blessings, and keep inspiring everyone. And you are doing beautiful and wonderful job out there. And we would really like to help you. So please connect with us. And also to all the audience, we have our own Hasketu Film YouTube channel. Please try to watch the content. It's all the Hasketu meaning is for the laughter and for the happiness. That's the purpose we came up with, that we want to do only the happy content. And we are making songs which are inspiring songs, short series, short film. So guys, please watch. While are watching, like, share, and subscribe. Would love to hear you. And thank you so much. It was amazing conversation with you. And we all are inspired, and it's going to stay with us, all your words, and you are spreading the light. Keep on spreading it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. You just reminded us to be grateful. Thank you.